Let's go. Come on. All right. Okay, great. Let me share my screen with you all. And I want to take myself out of the equation. All right, cool.
Quick question, Akika. Are we streaming on YouTube?
Yes, we are, sir. We are W.
Okay.
Toda.
Okay. I just want to make sure so I could post it. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. Let's see. Come on. All right, there you go. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Good. Awesome.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so this week's Torah portion is called Yitro. Yitro. Okay, it's in the book of Shemot, which is the book of Exodus that we know. Shemot means names. So now we have an individual by the name of Yitro. And what we know about Yitro is that he is Moshe's father-in-law, that he is a Median priest. Okay, he's from Media, right? And the Medians are from the family of Abraham. There's one of his descendants. Actually, it comes from his wife Keturah, right? So you could do some research on that, and you can find out where his origins are. Okay, what is significant about this in particular Torah portion is this idea of a warning. Okay, that's what this Torah portion is about. It's about a warning. Okay, our Haftarah is about a warning. Okay, and you say, well, Akika, where do you see that? How is it that what you're talking about is a warning? What is it about? So that's my job. My job is to come in and show you what I saw. Now you may have seen something totally different, and that's okay. Okay, so whatever it is your experience was this week with the Torah, Yah speaks to us individually, and then He brings us all together like we are today, so we can share ideas and we can give input, right? And we can let each other know what did we discover and what are some of the things that I may have missed or that you have may missed. You know, when we're in our journey, there's things that I'm looking at and there's things that you're looking at. Okay, and we should never be afraid to share those things. Yeah, I'm Akika, I'm your brother. All right, so I'm not here to set myself above you. That's a brother doesn't do that. Okay. Hebraically, a brother is someone who's supposed to be a wall of protection. Okay. So I'm on this idea of I'm your protection. I'm supposed to protect you. What am I trying to protect you from? Right? I'm trying to protect you from false information, from false translations, right? False application, falsehood. That's my job. My job is to come in as your brother and to make sure that this doesn't happen to you. Because if you and I get the wrong information, then you and I are going to go on a whole nother path. Okay. And then we're going to miss out. And then we're going to fall into some places where we're going to get hurt and there's going to be some damage. And sometimes we can recover from it and other times we can't. Okay. So that's what my job is. Okay. You're going to see this symbol all day today. This is our theme, caution. Okay. This caution has to do with communication. Okay. It has to do with our limitations, and we're going to be dealing with expectations. Okay. Communication is primarily the number one thing that's used, or I would say idea, that surrounds the Hebrew culture, right? That's what it is. What they did was when they wanted to pass on information, very important information, they wanted to pass on teachings or they want to pass on divine messages. They had to do this through the means of communication, and they did it orally. So they spoke everything that they heard or what they saw or what some of the images, whatever impacted them. Okay, they had visions, and so communication is where this is at. This is how the Most High has decided to deal with His people is through communication. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about limitations, and we're also going to hit what they would call expectations. Okay, so dealing with communication, we understand a few things. Okay, in your Torah portion, it said that Moshe's father-in-law, which is Yitro, saw that all that he was doing to the people, and he said, "What is this that you are doing to the people? Why do you sit here alone with all the people standing around you from morning till evening?" Okay. Because that's generally when everyone would get together and have their conversations, So now we're understanding what, a day consists of, right? When work is happening, it's through morning until evening. They weren't sitting around and having big, long conversations and dealing with issues at night. They were doing it during the day. Okay. And that's the Hebraic culture. So his father was noticing that what he was doing was something that wasn't really good. And it was something that brings caution. And the caution is that he was trying to teach people, right, by himself, doing it alone. And literally what he was doing was draining himself. And when you drain yourself, then you're not going to be any good to anyone, including yourself. Okay. Matter of fact, when Yithro had came to Moshe, he brought his wife and his children. So he was a father, he was a husband, and now he has this role and responsibility as being a leader over probably 2.5 million people. So we're not just talking about a handful of people, we're talking about lines of people that were coming to him, and he was sitting there like he's some guru and taking all this information. He's taking all the problems of these people. He's taking all their their judgments and their arguments and all their griefs and their sorrows and their complaints. And that can wear a person down. So this is something that we need to bring caution to. And this is the reason why the Most High is mentioning this, because you and I are not supposed to absorb this by ourselves. This is supposed to be a shared effort. Okay. And by that, his father-in-law recognized that. And Moshe answered his father-in-law, and this is what he said. He answered, he said, "It's because the people, they come to me seeking the power of powers guidance." Okay. Power of powers guidance or power of powers, because I particularly don't like that word Elohim anymore. The reason why I don't like it is simply because it's not really speaking to you about who you're dealing with. Okay, because Elohim can be an Elohim of other gods. Elohim could be multiple gods. Elohim could be, one guy. It could be whatever. Okay, but when we talk about Elohim, the definition is the power of powers. So these individuals are seeking the power of powers guidance. Okay, they're not seeking Moshe's guidance. They're seeking the Most High's guidance. Okay, and whenever they had a dispute, it comes to me. I would judge between one person and another, meaning his neighbor, his brother, and I explain to them the power of powers, laws, and teachings. A big responsibility. We find that the reason why they're coming to him is because they're seeking the power of powers. Now, this is in chapter number 18. This is prior to receiving the laws, the statutes, and the commandments and the judgments of the Most High. So he was already disseminating information to the people. Right? And so the Most High sees this, right? He knows this. He sends Yithro to him, and he begins to give him advice and counsel about how he should do these things. Now, when it talks about these people are seeking the power of powers, let's deal with that idea of seeking. Okay. That word that they used in Hebrew is called darash. Darash. And of course, darash means to seek. But what does it mean? What does seeking mean? Seeking literally means to have Yahweh to give you information. They're seeking Yahweh to get information. They're making inquiry. They're desiring to find out. They're investigating so they can get the information, so they can have an understanding. That's the purpose of seeking Yah, is to get information. And I'm talking about information that can be understood, so you can have your problem solved. So this is not abstract thinking. It's literal information. That's why the Torah portion is so important. When you read your Torah portion in the week, you're seeking information from Yah so you and I can understand how to live. How do we resolve our problems? Do we go to Yah or do we go to some other person? Do we go to a counselor who doesn't know Yah? Do we go to our friends? Do we go to our family? Do we go to a psychologist? Who do we go to when we have problems? Who do we go to get our information from on how to resolve our issues? Our issues that we have in our family between parents and their children, or between a husband and a wife, or between a mother and a father, or between a child and a parent, between siblings, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, father-in-law, daughter-in-law. Where are we getting our information? We have to get it from Yah. And by us seeking Yah, what we're doing, everyone, is we're aligning ourselves. We're getting into an alignment, just like you would on your car, okay? So if you have a vehicle, you know that you have to get it aligned. If you don't get the car aligned, you don't get the tires aligned, what's going to happen is it's going to get out of kilter and you're going to be veering to the right or you're going to be veering to the left. So alignment is literally talking about going in a straight line, okay? So you can see, so you can get to the place you need to go. But where should we align ourselves? We should align ourselves with the will and the desire of Yah. That's the reason why Yah is giving us information, right? So we align up what we're going to do, how we're going to respond. So at the end of our seeking the Most High, and after being aligned with the Most High, aligning our will with His will, His plan, whatever His plan is, our will should be aligned with that in order for us to obtain the justice that we need. The reason why we're still having problems with one another and in our homes and in jobs and all this, and even in the land that we live right now, because we're not getting any justice. Nothing gets resolved. Our Elohim is an Elohim to resolve resolution. He brings a resolution to problems. He finds a way to make things correct so they can be right, so they can be just. So when he puts it on the scale, it would be balanced and it won't be out of balance. The justice is balance. Justice is righteousness. And righteousness is weighing things, is putting something on one side of the scale and putting something on the other side of the scale. And if it doesn't come out to be even, and it's not weighed out and it's not in perfect balance, then there's one lacking and one that has more than the other. That's not justice. That's not right. No one can win without having justice. In order for something to be made right, it has to be just. In order for it to be just, it has to be aligned. In order for us to have things right, it has to be in alignment with Yah's will and what His desire is, based on the information. This is what should cause us to have caution. We should be afraid if we're not in alignment with Yah's will. We should be afraid if you and I's thoughts are not according to His desire, because what we want won't bring justice. We're selfish. And so the Most High has to bring us to the point of understanding what it means to seek Him. Moshe's father-in-law said to him, what you are doing isn't good. You will certainly wear yourself out, and not only yourself, but these people here with you as well. What we do to ourselves can have an impact on others. When you drain yourself of all your energy and your resources and you change your frequency, other people are going to be affected. Some things are just too much. Sometimes you can, want to be the hero in some situations, and it's just too much. Sometimes you're loaning out too much money, you're not getting enough of it back. Oh, that doesn't sound good, Akika. No, there has to be balance. There has to be a scale that has to be weighed out. There has to be measure for measure. And when we're dealing with Yah, and when we're dealing with His people, you and I should have some caution, because we take this a little bit too lightly. Just like the children of Misraim, the people, what they did. They crossed the line with the Most High. They did. They did. They went too far. And because they went too far, the Most High said, I'm going to go far too. Right? Put your device on mute. Thank you. You can't do this alone. You can't do this by yourself. So there's no time to be a hero. Everyone has to have their responsibility. Everyone has to have a shared responsibility in a community. And this is something that Moshe did not understand. So what we see with him is this is not necessarily a fault. What it is an opportunity. He wasn't faulting him. He was trying to teach him. He was trying to advise him. He was trying to give him counsel in order so he wouldn't destroy himself and destroy the people that are around him. When something's too much for you, you need to back off and you need to get other people involved that could be helpful to whatever the situation may be. That can be either at school, or that could be at your work, or it could be in your business. It could be how you delegate authority. Even in your household, we got a lot of control freaks. They want to control everything. You don't have to do that. And I'm talking about people not on here on with my class right now. I'm talking about people online. Anyone is listening. We don't have to have control over everything. We have to know how to delegate authority and power. We have to be able to know how to share this power. You see? And look what he says to Moshe. I will give you some advice. I'm going to counsel you. I'm going to tell you what it is. And the power of powers will be with you. Because he recognized that even though the Most High was with Moshe, and even though he brought the children of Israel out, he still needed help. He still needed to be advised. He needed counsel. Okay? And usually an individual that's a father-in-law is one who has been around for a while, so they have experience. This man was a priest. I don't have a slide that talks about a Kohanim. One may ask the question, why is it that he was allowed, and he's a priest from Midian, and yet he was able to give Moshe advice? Why was that okay? Well, according to the text, Yithro said, if this is okay with Yah, if this is okay with him, take this advice. If it's okay. His intent was not to harm Moshe. His intent wasn't to go against the Most High. So what are we learning? You can be from a whole nother family. You could be from a whole nother, tribe. You could be from a whole nother people. And if they have some good advice and they have some good counsel, you and I should be open to listen to it. Because often the Most High will bring people in your life to bring you good counsel. It doesn't always have to be from an Israelite. It doesn't. It could be from somebody who's not an Israelite, but he recognized Yahweh's power. That's the difference. The Median priests worshiped and said there is no other Elohim like, or no other power of powers like Yahweh is to Israel. That's what gave him the right to even receive the counsel. So when I said I want to make sure that I'm clear, when someone says, and they're from another nation, another people, and they try to give you counsel, if they do not acknowledge the Most High, you do not take their counsel. They have to acknowledge his power. He may not be their Elohim. They may not have an exclusive relationship with him, but they recognize the Most High's power. Then you can take counsel. You should represent the people before the power of powers. And you should bring these cases to the power of powers. And what is he speaking from? He's speaking from experience. A Kohanim is someone who is like a seed that's been planted in the ground, that's firm, that's had some time, that's stable, that grows up straight. You can't be in that role and position as a Kohanim without you having the idea of being firm, being sure about what you're talking about, okay? Just like a plant or a tree. So it's about sharing this power. There's power in counsel, but there's also caution. There's a lot of caution when one is receiving counsel, as I just spoke about. But here's the counsel that he gave to Moshe. I want you to listen very carefully. He said, you should also teach them the laws and the teachings and show them how to live their lives and what work they should do. Okay? This is what I'm saying. Teach them. When you look at that word teach in Hebrew, there are several words that can be used. One is called lamad, and it means to direct them with the shepherd staff. There's another one of Eitzah, which we just found about counseling them. That's another form of teaching or guiding them in some type of way. But this word right here is different, okay? It's different about teaching, and I want to share it with you. This teaching here is one called Zahar. Zahar, okay? And Zahar means to warn them, okay? About what? About danger and about making an error. That's what he's telling them. So when he's talking about teaching them, he's literally saying you need to warn them. You need to, these individuals that you're going to bring or that you're going to be dealing with or that you're going to delegate authority to, you're going to have to warn them to let them know how serious this is. So it's not just grabbing a whole bunch of people and say, okay, we have an issue here and I just want to pick a couple of people so I can resolve this issue. No, it's on how you do it. How do we resolve issues? Of course, I said earlier that we resolve it through the Torah. But how we do it? When you and I are dealing with the Torah, I want to be very, very clear. You and I are going to have to understand that the Torah is nothing but a warning to you. To tell you about the dangers that are in front of you. To give you caution to not make an error. Meaning, he says, don't add or subtract. Don't either go to the left or to the right. That's how serious this is. This ain't a joke. Because Zahar is to warn and to tell people about the danger, but it's also to shine, to bring light, and therefore enlighten the individual. And you can only do that through the Torah. You see? So it's the warning, a danger, error. Here, listen, let me enlighten you. So when you have to correct someone or you're trying to teach someone about dealing with the Torah, you always want to give them caution. You want them to let them understand that, guess what? You have to be on alert with this because you don't want to take this lightly. You don't want to make the mistake and say something that you don't supposed to say because you think that they're just words. You think that some man wrote it, so therefore you could just say it or regurgitate it the way that you want to say it. You think that you can pick and choose out of it what applies to your life and what doesn't. As if you and I can alter it or change it, or we can diminish it, or we can add to it, or we can put something upon it, or we can, make sure that something isn't said because you think it's going to be offensive. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. So Yitro is counseling his son-in-law through communication, transmitting information. Because it has to do with power. Everything has to do with power. In my study this week, I recognized something I want to share with you. When it says that Yah is the power of powers, understand what he's saying. If Yahweh doesn't give something its power, then it is dead. There is nothing that it can do. It cannot function without Yah, just like you. One can increase their power by tapping in to Yah, into his power. So when Yah came down on Mount Sinai and he began to speak to them, it was power that they felt. The whole mountain shook and the people trembled because of the power. When Yah spoke those words, those were frequencies that they were feeling. Their body couldn't handle it. The reason why it couldn't handle it because it was too much power. The frequency was too high because they were operating on a lower frequency. And the frequency that they were on was not as high as the frequency that Yah was on. And because those two frequencies are different, the other one said, I can't handle it. These words are too much for me. They understood that when he began to speak. It's frequency. So what he's trying to do is to consult his son-in-law to tell him, listen, there's too much power in the Torah. There's too much power in the decrees of Yah. There's too much power for one man to have that at one time. You have to dispense this power. You have to share this power in order for the power to be effective. Because if you don't, it's too much. It will destroy you. And you will destroy these people. How would it destroy the people? They're not getting accurate information. It's not intelligible. Once you start losing your power and your frequency goes down, the frequency of Yah starts to be diminished, and then people don't get the teaching the right way. Why? Because you want to be selfish. Why? Because you want a name for yourself. Why? Because you don't trust the people around you. You have to delegate authority. You have to delegate power. You have to share it. This is the reason why his father-in-law told him, you choose these people. You choose from among the people competent men who are God-fearing, Elohim-fearing, power-fearing, honest, incorruptible by their leaders, to be their leaders, excuse me. When it talks about them being incorruptible, meaning that they're not in the game so they can gain from you. They're not trying to take advantage of you. They're not trying to make a profit off of you. They're in this because they fear the power of Yah. That's why you can put them in charge. A lightning bolt, put them in charge of thousands and hundreds and fifties and tens, so they can charge and put that energy on the thousands, the hundreds, and the fifties, and the tens diminishing because it's too much power. When we're dealing with Yahweh, we're dealing with power, people. And through this power, and through our study, we found that the Most High made a proposal to the people. He wanted to know if they were willing to accept his power. Oh, hallelujah! He wanted to know if they were willing to accept the idea of him being their power. If they're willing to be charged by Yah. If they're willing to come and get on the same frequency. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. This is a proposal. Moshe went up to the power of powers, and Yahweh called to him from the mountain. Here's what you are to say to the household of Yaakov, to tell the people of Israel. What's the difference between saying and telling? What is the difference? Well, to say is just to speak. To tell is to do something else. To tell is to make known. I want you to make known to them the details, comprehensive details. I don't want nothing missing out about what I'm about to tell you that I want you to tell them. But I want you to make it known what I'm saying. I don't want them just to hear what I'm saying. I want them to know it. And the only way for you and I to know it is we have to know what the details of the proposal are. It has to be comprehensive, and it was, and it is. Yah doesn't leave out any details about what the expectations are, what he wants, and what your limits are. He doesn't. He's very thorough. And through this proposal, by the way, when one is to speak or one is to tell, it can happen in several different ways. It can be verbal. It could be nonverbal. It could be, someone having an expression on their face or a certain look, certain expression. It can be visual. It can happen through signs. It can happen through symbols. It can happen through elements. It can happen through any of those other ways. There's several different ways on how to communicate. It could be done through writing. It could be a written document. It could be something that, you can look to and reference. So there's several different ways on how one is to communicate, how something is to be known. One of the things that I recognized in the Torah that went over my head for the last 10 years is the fact that he said, you have seen what I did to the Egyptian and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Yah has been giving them details. He's been showing them about what I've done. It's not what you can think that I did, it's what you've actually seen, which means it's about the evidence that was provided for you in order for you to make a decision. You saw what I did. This is part of the proposal. These are the opening words. You saw you've seen, past tense, what I've done. That means you are eyewitnesses to what I did to the Egyptians. You saw what I did. You saw that I destroyed them. You saw I destroyed the lamb. You saw I killed the firstborn. You saw me change the water into blood. You saw the frogs. You saw the lice. You saw the boils. You saw the insects. You saw the thunder. You saw the lightning. You had light. They had darkness. You saw it. You saw when you went through the Red Sea. You saw me splitting. You saw me destroy your enemies. You saw it. And this is the basis of the proposal. I'm not coming into this proposal without you understanding who you're dealing with. I need you to be on high alert, and I need you to understand that you need to approach this with caution. All the people witnessed. This is in your Torah portion. They witnessed the thunder, which is the voices, the lightning, which is the torches, the blare of the horn, which is the shofar, the mountains smoking. And when the people saw it, they fell back and stood at a distance. That word witness is called roim in Hebrew. But witness in Hebrew is called ad, and ad is the one who has the doors of the eye, which means to repeat, meaning you've seen it. You're eyewitness. So he's saying, hey, all the people, the Kol Ha'am, all of them roim. They all roim the Hakalot. The Hakalot is the thunders, but it's really the voices. They saw the voices. When it thunders outside, you and I don't see anything, we just hear it. This is different. It's not that they saw lightning, they saw torches. In Hebrew, it's not lightning. There's a word for lightning that was used when he went into Egypt. He's not using that word. He's using a word called lapadim. Okay? They saw torches. They saw voices. They saw the sound of the shofar. So it wasn't that they just saw fire and they saw a mountain smoking. They saw these things. And it scared them. And it made them stand at a distance from Yah. And they fell back from the Most High. Because this was something that they weren't expecting. They weren't expecting this. These are all the different things that they saw. You understand? So when the Most High came, this was a divine experience for them. It's about what they've seen. Yahweh said to Moshe, here's what you are to say to the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I spoke with you from heaven. 3 things. You saw what I did to Egyptians. Number 1. They saw the torches. They saw the sounds. They saw the voices. They saw the shofar. They saw the darkness. They saw it. Now what do you have done? Now that you've seen that I've spoke to you. You've seen that too. He didn't say you heard me. You seen that you saw it. So this is different, people. Okay. And because it is, this is what makes it dangerous for us. Because they really didn't want to have this experience. They didn't know that this was what it was going to be in this proposal. They didn't know that. In the proposal, which we would call the terms of agreement, the Most High is going to make it clear about what this contract consists of. Okay? The terms of an agreement is going to tell you about how long something's going to be. In any contract that you're in, any agreement, there has to be a time element. There has to be an established duration of time that makes this contract good. Okay? In our case, it's forever. It's never going to be changed. The second thing is obligations and duties. It spells out what it is that is expected from us to do, and what are our responsibilities, and what do we have to do. Okay, what are we going to be held accountable to? Okay, protection of a party's interests, meaning on both sides. The Most High, this agreement has to protect the interests of the party who's the one who's giving it and the party who's receiving it. It can't be one way. It can't just be beneficial to one and not beneficial to the other. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a valid contract. Okay? And last but least, it has to be enforceable. It has to be legally binding. And that's what you and I are in. Okay? So the interest of the Most High has to be protected, just like our interest has to be protected, because those are the terms of the agreement. That's what the body of that is. Now, this is the terms here. Okay, of this agreement. He says, now if you pay attention or pay careful attention, in the Hebrew means Shema, to what I say and keep, meaning Shamar, my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom for me. A kingdom of Kohanim for me, a nation set apart. These are the words you are to speak to the people of Israel. Let me draw your attention to two things. The Most High is saying, if you would Shema, if you would pay careful attention, you listen and obey what I'm saying. That's condition number one. That's the obligation. Number two, you listening to what I'm saying. And secondly, you will guard, keep, Shamar, my covenant. Those two things. Only two. So our agreement with Yah is based on these two things. Shema, listening and obeying, right? Because listening means to obey, right? Actively listening and doing what I'm saying. Second is to guard what my covenant, what I say. Guard my words, which are going to be the words that you're going to learn today. And how long is it good for? It's good forever. Is it supposed to be changed? No. Will it be changed in the future? No. When? Never. So this is what Yah is holding us to. Are you listening and obeying what I said? And are you guarding what I said? He doesn't give any details about how many words it is. He doesn't say 1,000 words. He doesn't say until this time. He doesn't say that. This is an eternal binding covenant. He tells you all the earth is mine. Why? I'm letting you know who you're dealing with. If I'm talking about the earth, I'm talking about everything in it is mine. Everyone in it is mine. Everything, the living, the dead, all of it belongs to me. You will be a kingdom of Kohanim. You're going to be a people who has been established. Not everybody's going to be a priest. The kingdom is going to be full of priests, but not everybody's going to be a priest. You're going to be a nation, a people set apart, kadosh. These are the words you are to speak to the people of Israel. That's it. That was it, and that's all. Nothing to be added, nothing subtracted. That's all they have, people. After the terms of the agreement have been stipulated, now it comes time for acceptance of the agreement. This is before they heard Yah's voice. Moshe came, he summoned the leaders of the people and presented them with all these words which Yahweh had ordered him to say. You and I would think that it's a whole bunch of words. That it's the Mishpatim, it's the Kukim, it's the Moedim, it's the set apart times, it's the, Pakudakai, it's the Adut. It's no. Only listen and obey and guard what I said. That's it. And then if you do that, then you're going to do this. You're going to be this to me. All the people answered as one, as a Echad. Everything Yahweh has said we will do. They accepted the offer. They didn't sign any paperwork. They said out of their mouths everything he said we will do. So what the leaders did, they got the information. Remember, this is about communication. They received the information. They received the details of the agreement. And it wasn't difficult. And Moshe explained it to them. He made it plain. There was nothing mysterious about this. It wasn't something that he didn't think that they could do. They even knew that they could do it. So when you hear someone talking in the New Testament, they couldn't do it. No, they could do it. They said we would do it. So Moshe reported the words of the people. And what words did he report? There was no additional nothing. All he said is, Yahweh, they said we will do it. It's a marriage contract. It's a ketubah. When a man is about to marry a woman and he makes an offer, he puts that offer in writing. She reads it. She agrees to what he said he was going to do. She agrees that, guess what? Whatever this man says, I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to obey it. That's what that is. Not only am I going to listen to what he says and I'm going to obey what he says, I'm going to guard what he says. Doesn't matter what he says, I'm going to do it. Because I agreed to the covenant. I agreed to the proposal. I agreed to the agreement. I understood it. It was clear. It was intelligible. It was comprehensive. It didn't lack any details about the overall goal of this marriage and this covenant, this relationship. Well, Akika, you're talking about like as if you men should be like Elohim. You're right. They are. They're masters over their own homes. So when you sisters or you women need to understand this. It's not that a man doesn't love you. You need to follow what he says. Otherwise, don't marry him. Don't listen to him. If you don't like the agreement, don't do it. That's how simple it is. We don't have to make it complicated. Just like what the Most High said here to the children of Israel. I only want two things from you. That's it. They said, yeah, we'll do it. Go ahead, Hanya.
Not to get off subject, but what if the man that you married is not following Torah?
He's not following Torah. You better be praying to the Most High and asking him for his mercy. Your husband is still over you. If he doesn't want to follow the Torah, he doesn't have to follow the Torah. He doesn't. That's his choice. That's his choice. If you married him and you're with him, you're going to have to endure it. Just like reverse the roles. Say he's following the Torah and you're not. What is he going to have to do?
Okay, but what if he's abusing you?
No, I never accept abuse. Never. Never. You're not there to be abused. You exit the abuse. Well, what's the Torah on that, Akika? Number one, the Most High says that if a man is not to be able to provide three things for a woman, right? She has a right to be let free, to be gone free. Okay. And that's in the book of Mishpatim, which we'll talk about next week. Okay. You're not there to be abused, period. There is no abuse there. The relationship with the Most High is not putting us in covenants. It's like him putting us in a covenant to abuse us. No. It goes both ways. We have a responsibility. He has a responsibility. So let me make it clear. The Most High, when he says that I want to be in marriage and be in a relationship with you, because he tells us that I was a husband to Israel, even though they broke the covenant. The Most High is not abusing us. It's the consequences of us not listening to what he says. Okay. So we both have, he has a responsibility and we have a responsibility. If he's not living up to his end of the deal, then guess what? There is no deal. But when you got in that contract with that man, did you say that this is part of it? Did he tell you that, guess what? This is the Torah. I'm going based on the principles of the Torah. Did he make an offer to you? No, he didn't. We just got to deal with the consequences of our actions. Now, if the man is abusive, get out of that situation. Get out of that situation. The Most High ain't called us to be abused. It's like a man staying in a relationship with a woman abusing him. No, get out of that relationship. Is he stopping you from keeping the Torah? If he's trying to do that, you leave him. Period. That's your Elohim. You're not there to be abused. No. Okay? Talk more about that later. Concept of listening. Because it's part of communication. A big part of communication is not just talking. It's about listening. That's something that we miss. That's a huge part of communication. Is listening. We have to listen. Okay? And there's a process. And in this process of listening, it's about receiving information, it's about interpreting, and it's about responding. That's it. It's how do you receive it? Once you receive it, how do I interpret it? And then what is the response? How do I respond to it? Okay? That's the process. That's the concept of it, right? To get this information, because basically communication is about information. Okay. And so in this process of listening, you have to be able to have that. You have to be able to do that. Now, when we talk about listening, just like we have to listen to the Most High, there's two ways you can do it. Either you could do it actively or you could be passive about it. The Most High is not asking for us to have a passiveness about listening to him. Just like, okay, I'm going to hear what you said, and that's it. The way that the Most High wants us to do it is to be active, to engage in what we're dealing with. Whenever it's spoken to us, we're supposed to be actively engaged with the Most High, okay, in order to make a response. We're not supposed to just sit back and let stuff happen. We're supposed to be active in our listening, okay, and be able to have the appropriate response because Yahweh listens. Now, this right here should bring caution to you. And it should literally get you to have your antennas up because this is something that a lot of people don't know. I didn't know it. Okay? I didn't know the significance of Yah listening to me. Yahweh is always listening to you and I. When you and I are having conversations with our friends, Yahweh's listening. When you and I are having our conversations with ourselves, the Most High is listening. When you're having a conversation in your home or at your job, the Most High is listening. He's listening to all of us. Everything that you and I are saying is being heard. Okay, the Most High is taking notice of what we're saying. So be careful with your speech. Listen, then those who feared Yahweh spoke together, and Yahweh listened, and he heard. He Shema. There's a difference between listening and one of hearing. That's why it says in Malachi chapter number 3 that Yahweh listened. I didn't put the Hebrew word up here. I just want to explain to you what it is. Okay. It's called koshav. Okay. And koshav means that he's listened, not just heard, not like Shema. Okay. And so this is something that we need to understand is that when we're talking about listening to Yahweh and hearing Yahweh is two different things. We have to have the same type of frequency because Yah's the power, right? He says, they will be mine, says Yahweh. Why? When he was listening to these people on the day when I composed my special treasure. Why? Because they were speaking to one another. Yahweh heard what they were saying, okay? And he listened to what they were saying. He gave attention to it. And it says that on that day when I composed my own special treasure. The word special treasure here is the same word that was used in your Torah portion in the proposal where the Most High said that you're going to be a special treasure to me. You're going to be a segula to me. Okay? If you do what I'm saying, if you Shema, and if you shamar, if you listen and obey, and if you guard what I'm saying, then you'll be a special treasure to me. It's conditional. But the special treasure is for the ones who fear Yah. Those are the special ones. I'll go back to the slide we just left. Then those who feared Yahweh spoke together, and Yahweh listened. He koshav, he heard, he gave attention to what they were saying, and he heard what they were saying. Okay, and so this idea of who is it the ones that the Most High is listening to? He listens to everyone, but more specifically, the ones who are going to be a special treasure are the ones who fear Yah. Those are the ones he said, I will spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. Well, Akika, you still didn't define to us besides saying listening and hearing. Well, the one, the Kashav, is different. The Kashav here is really talking about Yah being committed to act upon what was heard. He's committed to action because of what he heard. You understand? Let me go back. Let me show it to you. Because he listened, because he koshav, because he and also heard and shema them to the ones who feared him when they were speaking together. They were talking about Yah. Okay, that's what they were doing. And because they're the ones who are talking about him, they're the ones who are, interested in him and being on the same frequency. Okay, they're operating on the same, what you would call wavelength. The Most High recognized and listened to them. Okay, and he said he says those individuals, they will be mine. Okay, they will be mine on the day when I compose my own special segula, my own treasure. So the ones who are Yahs are the ones who fear Yah. Okay? The ones who are going to be spared are the ones that fear Yah. The ones, right? So he's going to spare him like a man spares his own son who serves him. So the one who fears Yah is the one who serves him. That's the one who's on a frequency. So when the Most High speaks, you follow. Right? So what he's looking for is an exchange of this frequency. It has to be the same. So when it talks about Yah heard and versus he listened, the listening part is it caused Yah to be committed to act on the behalf of what he heard. That's what he's saying. So when he heard that these individuals, this when he says, oh, they'll be mine. I'm committed to taking action based on what I heard from them. So that's why I'm telling you, we need to be careful about what we're saying. That's why it's caution here, because if you and I are speaking and we're talking about him, and we're talking about we fear him, and we're talking about we live him, then our lives are going to have to match that. Because it's not just saying anything to the Most High. Right? It's about making it known. Like he says that, hey, go tell to Israel, then make it known tell Jacob and make it known to the house of Israel. He's saying that, guess what? The same type of commitment that an action I have towards you when I hear you is the same commitment and action that you need to have towards me. So when I speak to you, I don't want you just to listen passively. I want you to actively listen, and I want you to be committed to acting upon what you have heard. It goes both ways. So it's a matter of creating a circuit. You understand? So the circuitry has to do with energy, and the energy is going not in just one direction. The energy is going in circuits, is going back and forth. That's what a circuit does. So just like the Most High is committed to acting upon what he has heard, he's saying that you and I need to be active and committed to what we have heard, because the individuals that fear Yahweh are the ones who are going to be committed to being active about what they've heard from Yah. These people weren't talking about anything outside of what the Most High said. This wasn't a special fear that they had that nobody else had. It was the fear of Yahweh that comes through learning the Torah. It wasn't no additional words. It would have nothing to do with the New Testament. It didn't have nothing to do with the Quran. It didn't have anything to do with Buddha. It had nothing to do with self-improvement. It had nothing to do with nothing else but the Torah. Y'all don't care about anything else that you and I learned or what else you heard. Is what you do with the words that Yahweh has spoken. And how have you acted and have you been committed to act upon the things in which you've heard? And because of this, a record book, communication, was written, communication, in his presence for those who feared Yahweh and had respect for his name. I told you, communication can happen in several ways. It could be verbal, it could be nonverbal, it could be visual. But here what we see is written in a book. It's in a sefer. It's called a Zikaron Sefer, Sefer Zikaron. It is a book of memorial. Because the people who are taking the time that are reading the Torah and learning how to fear Yahweh, meaning being pointed in the direction that Yahweh says, are the ones who have respect for his name. But they use this word respect, which is not the Hebrew word. The Hebrew word here is not about respect. It's about thinking. It's how you and I think about Yah. I respect Yah. I respect God. I respect I respect the Bible. I respect. I know there's a God. I respect. Yeah, okay. I respect his name. Hebraically, culturally, is not talking about just respect in an abstract term. It's talking about thinking. Okay, that has to do with weaving, because your thoughts are being woven. You're weaving. Okay, like you're weaving a fabric. So literally, what you're doing when you're thinking is you're creating something. You're creating a pattern. That's what you're creating. And what it is, listen to me carefully. I wrote a note to myself at the beginning of the week. I write notes because when I come to teach, I don't come with you with a whole bunch of what I believe. I come to you with what I know, okay? And what I know is this, is that you and I wrote in here, this is what my notes. We better be thankful for the covenant with Yah. We're braided with Yah. Yet, we get the benefits of deliverance and divine intervention, meaning that we're interwoven with Yah. I wrote, that was my first note that I wrote at the beginning of the week on Yom Rishon last beginning of this week. That's the first, before I read anything. That's the first thing I wrote down. And I didn't understand what that meant until today. Okay? Meaning that when Yahweh gave his covenant to the children of Israel, okay, when he began to speak to them, what he was saying is listen, now that you've agreed to the terms of the covenant and you've accepted it, now I want you to understand that what we need to do now is I'm going to interwoven myself into your thinking. Now, when you start thinking, I want you to create a fabric with a pattern. And there's a certain plan that I have for you. And I need to be woven within your thoughts. Okay. And when I'm woven within your thoughts, then you and I become intertwined to one another. And I become embedded into your thinking. Okay. So when it talks about you having respect unto Yahweh's name, it means that you're constantly thinking about Yah in all of your thoughts. Okay. Right? In all my ways, acknowledge him and he shall direct my path. You're thinking about Yah. You're weaving a fabric. Okay. And when you're weaving this fabric, your thoughts are the fabric. Okay. And you're doing these patterns in which you're creating as a tapestry. Okay. And when you create this tapestry, you got to figure out, well, what kind of tapestry do I want? Are all of our tapestries going to be the same? No. Are all the designs going to be the same? No. But they should have something that they all have in common. Number one, the thread that you're threading is Yah within your fabric, within your pattern, and you have to take time. It takes time to develop these patterns in these tapestries. It takes dedication. It takes creativity. Okay. And so when the Most High is doing this and you're creating this tapestry, you're going to be interwoven Yah inside of your thought process. Okay. It's going to be different for all of us. Okay. But one thing you can see based on this little image that I have right here is that there's several different styles of weaving, all different types of styles, but they're all woven. They all have the same idea. They all have a pattern, a set pattern that's very distinguishable that you can recognize. That's why they give certain patterns certain names, because they've been named by the individual who created that in particular woven pattern. So what the Most High is literally saying is that when you have your thoughts, and when I'm included, you need to make sure that it looks something like this. It can't be raggedy. It has to be straight. Everything has to be in alignment in order for you to recognize or to distinguish the pattern. And so for the children of Israel, when we have the Most High as our Elohim, as our power of powers, you and I should be able to pull out our tapestry, and people should be able to recognize the difference between what they're doing and what we're doing. You understand? And the significance of this is found in Deuteronomy chapter number 22. When we read, when the Most High tells the children of Israel, he instructs them and says, you are not to wear clothing woven with two kinds of thread, wool or linen together. What is he talking about? He's talking about himself. That's what he's talking about. What he's talking about is you can't take two different types of thread, two different types of clothing, and put them together and expect them to work. You can't take the mind and the mindset of Yah and the frequency that Yah's on and expect it to work in something that it doesn't supposed to be connected to. So if the Most High is linen and you're trying to attach him to rayon or polyester, it's not going to work. I know the clothes that we're wearing right now contain all those things and they make it work, but guess what? There's something about that you need to understand. Okay. When the Most High talks about not wearing these clothing, right? Clothing woven of two different kinds of thread, not mixing them together. He's saying, listen, you can't mix me with something that's not supposed to be of the same material. You have to adopt to what I'm talking about. You have to say that I want to be woven with Yah. I have to be woven into his ways. I have to be woven into the manner of life I'm supposed to live. Okay. So when you try to go outside of this, you're going to have it's not going to work. Why? Because the threads are different. Why? Because the threads have different frequencies. Let me tell you something. You could go research this for yourself right now and find out that the fabric of linen has the highest frequency than any other cloth that you see right here. It's the highest. So when he tells us that I want you to wear linen, or tells the priest to wear nothing but linen, he's talking about frequency. When he has the whole entire tabernacle made out of gold on the inside, it has to do with frequency. It's power, people. When we're wearing clothing that's mixed up, it changes your frequency in your body. We're not supposed to wear stuff that has, rayon or polyester mixed with cotton and all these other things. It's supposed to be of one type. And every type of fabric has a different frequency, and your body is going to respond to that in particular frequency. Some materials that you're wearing right now, and I don't want to mess you up where you got to go in your closet like me and have to throw away a whole bunch of stuff. It's because it takes away your energy. It messes your frequency up. It blocks you. It tires you out. Your clothing, the linen on your bed doesn't supposed to be on a low frequency. It's messing up your frequency on your body. You're a frequency being, you're an energy being. Okay. So go do your research and go find out whether Akika is telling you the truth about wool and linen and cotton. And you can find the different frequencies. That's the reason why he's telling us to wear it. That's the reason why he's saying don't mix it, because you're mixing the frequencies. That's why you can't take wool and linen, even though they're high frequencies, you can't mix them because it messes up the frequency. So in this case, in our teaching today, the Most High is letting you know, if I'm telling you not to woven two kinds of threads, and I'm telling you not to mix two different types of seeds, I'm telling you don't breed two different types of animals, is because I know the frequency. So when I join you to myself, you now have to adopt the frequency. Otherwise, you're going to be destroyed. They didn't know that when they signed up for that, when they agreed to this. They thought it was just, hey, yeah, let's just say we're going to do it. No. Now, did they have a choice to say, no, we don't want to do it? Yeah, they did. But the Most High knew that they wouldn't. That shows his mercy and his compassion. That I know these people will never choose me. They'll never choose me. I have to choose them. I know they're a bunch of idolaters. He says it. He tells it, Moshe, right in the book of Devarim, they're going to go prostitute themselves. They're going to worship other gods. He knew that. So what is he looking for? He's looking for individuals like you and me who are going to say, you know what? I want to get on the frequency. I want to tap into the power. Then once again, you will see the difference. Going back to the book of Malachi, the difference, like the fabrics, the difference between the wool and the linen, the difference between the righteous and the wicked. Those are the two different fabrics. You can't mix them between the person who serves the power of powers and the one who doesn't serve him. It's the one who's thinking about me. It's the one who has respect unto my name. It's the one who I'm woven in his thoughts or her thoughts. They're only bent on what I said. Those are the ones that are going to be written down in the book of what you call a remembrance. Limitations. We talked about communication. Now we're talking about limitations. In your Torah portion, you and I need to be careful about the limitations. There's some caution here. Yahweh said to Moshe, go to the people today and tomorrow. Separate them from me by having them wash their clothing and prepare for the third day. And on the third day, Yahweh will come down on Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. Physically. Eyewitnesses. That word right there to separate means kadosh. Now, why is this part of the limitations? Because the Most High is letting us know something. You cannot approach me. I won't approach you for you to be next to me unless you're prepared and unless you're being kadosh. In order for me to have you in my presence, you're going to have to meet the criteria. And the criteria is you got to be kadosh. That's the criteria. That is the criteria to be kadosh. And I'm going to explain to you why. These are limitations to let us know that we don't have anything in common. You got to go through something, okay? What we find in this idea of being set apart and being kadosh, right, and being separate and getting ourselves prepared, we need to understand something about the Most High's limitations. When you and I fail to recognize the difference between Yah and ourselves, meaning that we fail to recognize what's appropriate and what is acceptable, right? So what I'm saying is, often humanity wants to approach Yahweh on their terms, right? So we want Yah to accept us as what we are and who we are. And that's just, we're going to push this in his face and tell him that this is who I am, and you're just going to have to live with it. I know that you said this, but this is who I am, and I'm not changing. So, do what you got to do. No. What else are you talking about, Akika? I'm talking also about the fact that our behaviors and the things that we do on how we present ourselves is a problem. You and I are connected to the Most High. We're interwoven in a relationship with him, whether you want to accept that or not. And because we're connected to the Most High, you and I have to be careful and be aware, like this caution sign, of danger of making an error. Okay? We have to be on high alert because there's some things that you think is appropriate because you've been living that way for so long and anybody told you that that's not appropriate. Appropriate in conduct, appropriate in dress, appropriate in diet, appropriate in behavior, appropriate in relationships, appropriate. And neither is it acceptable. And this is hard speech for people who fail to recognize that they're in a relationship with the Most High. So we don't get to do what we want to do. Tough talk, hard talk. So we got to understand this. So when you bring to the Most High, or let me correct myself, when you and I, including me, we bring something in front of the Most High and say, this is who I am, and this is what I am, and that's what it is. You have to accept it. I'm waiting for your grace, and I'm waiting for your mercy. You and I are in danger. Because you don't know who you're dealing with. We're in danger when we think we can prance around here and act like we're not in a covenant with the Most High. When we speak about things that we should not be speaking about, and we think we're in a covenant, and we act like the Most High ain't heard it, and then he ain't gonna take no, there's no be no response for what you and I are doing. No, we need to take notice and be on caution about what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're living. Because the Most High told Moshe, you are to set limits for all the peoples around. That word limit there has to do with boundaries. That's what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's appropriate. You and I being humanity, and in that case, didn't have a right to go approach the Most High with filthy clothes or being next to your wife or having sexual intercourse with your woman, and then all of a sudden you think it's going to be okay, you're going to show up before the Most High. No. No. And so we see a level of set apartness that don't have to happen by them pouring some holy oil on you. It's by taking the action, the appropriate action the Most High chose for you to be sanctified by washing your clothes and don't be next to your wife for 3 days. And I can make you kadosh enough to be around me. It took 3 days. It took 3 days for you to be sanctified. The day that I told you, the next day, and the day that I showed up, it took 3 days for you. Be careful not to go up on the mountain or even touch the base, its base, because whoever touches the mountain will surely be put to death. Mot yumat. Dying, you will die. That's what surely means. Dying, you will die. Whether it's a man, whether it's a beast, they're going to die. But it's a matter of these limits. Going past what you're supposed to. And going past our limits, by the way, is indicative of what you would call to be presumptuous. To presume upon the Most High and go beyond what he has outlined and said, these are the borders. That means that you and I are operating in arrogance. And it means that you and I are in rebellion. When we go past the limits that would have been set by the Most High, when you go outside of the diet that the Most High said, you're a rebel and you're arrogant and you're presuming upon the Most High. And he's letting you know straight up at the top, you're going to mot yumat. I'm going to kill you. That's what it is. And there's no other way for me to put it. You understand? So I don't like you saying that. He's not going to do that. No, listen. I'm not going to cut any corners, pull any punches for me, you, or nobody. I need to do it for my own mother. Because you and I need to understand who we are in a relationship with. It's cautionary, okay? Remember, the primary way of communicating information and teachings and tradition is through oral communication. Because at that time we were affirming, hey, with the individual who said this is authority. This is what he said. There has to be some affirmation of what's true and what's not. So when we go around and act like we don't have to stay within the boundaries of what the Most High said, then you're presumptuous. You've gone too far. And that's because of our arrogance and it's because of our rebellion. And the Most High is going to deal with us. Now in your Haftarah, you found a vision from one of the prophets called Yeshayahu. And in that vision, he's making a clear distinction between himself and what he saw in his vision, which gives us a clue on why you and I need to be aware of who we're dealing with. Okay? This is a warning. Didn't know until this Torah portion. This is a warning. Now, I said to you before that in English is kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth, who whole earth is filled with his glory. And I told you that when he had that vision, it was said in a way like, kadosh, it was very majestic. And when he saw this, when he saw it in a vision, right? He saw these beings. And these beings, these seraphim, because that's what they're called, fiery ones. And they had 6 wings. 2 covered their face, 2 covered their bodies, and 2 they flew with. And while they were flying, they were screaming these words to one another. Okay? So this tells us something about Yah, and it tells us about something of concern. This is a warning. Okay? When it says Kadosh, 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 as we read earlier, where it talks about how the Sabbath is Kadosh. He said that he's going to set you apart. He just talk about us being Kadosh, right? The Kadoshness of Yah connects us to him. You and I don't have a right to say what these beings are saying. You and I saw a young woman the other day on TikTok saying she was singing this. And me, myself, and I had in the past have said this as well. And I had to ask the Most High for forgiveness, confess to him. I don't have a right to say these words. I don't have a right to proclaim this. And the reason why I don't have a right, and neither did that woman that I tried to help to understand that she couldn't say it either, or none of us can say this, is because you and I are not one of these beings. These beings that are around him are fiery beings, and they're beings that are set apart from humanity. They're not tainted like we are. And this is why Yashayahu said what he said, that I'm a man of unclean lips. So an unclean man don't have a right to say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh in the way that it was said. We don't have a right to sing this to the Most High. He's chosen these beings to do this because they're in his presence and they're guardians of his throne and they're fiery beings, which is reflective of his power. Okay. So why is this important for us? Number one, don't ever say this. Don't ever sing it. Because what you're doing and what I've done is you minimize Yah's set apartness in order to fulfill your own, self glorification of, hey, I feel close to the Most High. There's certain things that there's limits that you and I shouldn't cross. And Yashayahu, which is known as Isaiah, said this. He said, woe unto me, I'm doomed. Because I, a man with unclean lips, living among people with unclean lips, have seen with my own eyes the King, Yahweh Zavaot. That goes right over our head. That goes right over our head. Because we're thinking that he's talking about, I'm going to die because I saw him. I've seen Yahweh, but it was in a vision. But why did he mention his unclean lips? Because the thing that was being spoken right here, Kadosh, 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 can never be said by a human being. That's why you never see any human being saying this. You never hear it in any of the Psalms. You never hear it sung by anyone. They say hallelujah. They never say this. They never say this in any songs. They might say the Most High is he's set apart, and he says, go ahead and sanctify yourselves. And Kadosh Yahweh is on the priest's forehead, on his golden plate, on Aaron's forehead. It says La Kadosh de Yahweh, Kadosh de Yahweh. It says that, but it never says this in its succession of 3 times. It never says that. So the Most High is letting us know that stay in your place. Stay in your lane. Don't go past, like I told you, don't go past the boundaries on the mountain. To understand that you're not dealing with a human being. Understand that anybody that touches the mountain, I'll kill them. Understand that I'm the one. Understand that your lips are unauthorized to speak anything like they just said. Understand that. Understand that you're a people who are down in the lands. You're not in the heavens. Don't you forget that. Don't forget that if you did see me with your eyes, you wouldn't live. Like I told Moshe. He wanted to see me. I told him I'd kill him. No one can see me. You understand? So Yah is letting us know that you guys are humans and that you have to go through a process of bathing your bodies in your clothes and not coming next to your wives or having intercourse with one another because you're human beings. So understand your limits, understand your boundaries. And by the way, this Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh that I'm just reading, not singing, lets us know it is a warning to the world. That's what it is. When they're saying this, they're telling what's going to happen in the world. The whole world is filled with his kavodo. It means that when they're letting us know, based on this vision that he sees, that this is going to be the end of the world. This is what's going to be said when Yahweh Zabaoth comes to the world. This is what's going to be declared by those beings when he comes, because the whole world, the whole earth is going to be filled with his glory. They're not just words that they're singing in the heavens, people. It is a warning that the Most High is going to come and his glory is going to fill the whole entire world. This being, that's why they're saying what they're saying, because it's telling a story about what's going to happen. That's why he says, woe unto me, I'm doomed. Because I, a man with unclean lips, living among people with unclean lips, have seen with my own eyes the King, Yahweh Zavaoth. You and I would think that that's just a vision. It's a vision about the future. It's about when Yahweh Zavaoth comes and the humanity sees him as the king of the armies of heaven. They're going to die. Because they're doomed when he comes. Never saw it. Finally, I want to close with the expectations. Yahweh has an expectation of his creation, and more specifically, the children of Israel, or are interwoven into a divine covenant with him that's going to last forever. No matter when you and I go back into the wilderness or make our way back to the land, if he says so, you and I are going to still be under the same words that I'm going to share with you today. The first word that Yahweh says is Anoki Yahweh Eleheka Asher Hotzi Tika, the Me'eretz and the Misraim and Beth of Avadim. That's the first word that he says. I am Yahweh, your power of powers, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. This is Yahweh introducing himself to the children of Israel. He's making himself known to them through his words, not through a image, through his voice, his words. I'm Yahweh. Okay? And he's telling us that I'm your power. So if you and I disconnect from the Most High Yah, we have no power. See, our power comes from Yahweh. Our deliverance and salvation comes from Yahweh. Being brought out of the nations will come from Yahweh. You are to have no other Elohims before me. Lo yiyeh de lakad Elohim de akerim de al panai. Meaning that you are not to have any other Elohim before my face. My face, nowhere where I look. Nowhere where I set my eyes do I want you to have another Elohim. You are to have no other power. Because I'm the one who brought you out. I'm the one who caused you to come out. I'm the one who hotzitika. I'm the one who forced you out. I'm the one who pushed you out. Pharaoh didn't push you out. I did. You are not to make for yourselves a carved image of any kind of representation of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the water below the shoreline. Lo yiyeh telaka, the ta say telaka the fasela we call it tumuna. The asher ba shamayim the memoala, the hadrets, badrets in the mitakath, the bamayin the mitakath the ladrets. I'm only speaking in Hebrew in order for you to understand that the power of Yah is found in the culture, is found in the language. Lo tistakawed lahim, walado avadim, for kianoki Yahweh eleheka, I'm the Elquanah, I'm your Elquanah, okay? I'm a jealous power. That's what I am. Okay. You are not to bow down to them and serve them, talking about those powers that are really no powers at all. For I, Yahweh, your power of powers, am a jealous power. I'm jealous. And the Yah has is not the jealousy that you and I understand from a human perspective. Yahweh's jealousy is very unique. It's very unique. In the Hebrew, it's called qanah. And qanah has to do with the idea of acquiring a possession. So what he's saying is, when I came to get you and I acquired you, I took you on as a possession. That's why I made an offer to you, right? Because I don't want to own something that doesn't want to be owned. I don't want to protect it. The word qanah comes from a bird. And what birds do, they build a nest, and what they do with the nest, they protect the nest. That's the reason why the Most High said, I'm like an eagle. I put you on my wings, and I brought you unto myself. So the purpose of Yah bringing us out is for a variety of reasons, but primary, it is to build a nest to protect us. Because he knows that without him, you and I would have no protection. Without having a nest, we wouldn't have an abode, we would have nowhere to go. Okay? The nest and the bird and the protection gives you the idea of what Yahweh is trying to do. Okay? And what he's not trying, what he is doing is building a family. That's what he's doing. And Yahweh is doing planning, he's making provision for protection. These are the three things that the Most High is providing for his family. He's planning for his family, he's giving provision to his family, and he's giving protection. These are all the benefits of the covenant that you and I are involved in. This is the reason why you were acquired. You're required to have someone, Yahweh, more specifically, to do your planning. You are part of Yahweh's family, and Yahweh promises to provide for you. That's why he says the whole entire earth belongs to me. It's mine. Okay? And he's the one who's going to provide the protection for like a bird that guards its nest and uses its wings to cover, right? So the Most High is concerned about his family, right? And again, the family and the idea of Yahweh is talking about this relationship because that's what it's about. It's about this. Family is about a relationship, just like you would in your own family, planning, provision, and protection. It's just that simple. We make it more than what it should be. Now, of course, there's other details that go in line with planning and provision and protection, but these are the foundation of any family. There has to be some planning, you have to be able to provide, and you have to be able to protect. Okay, so that's what the Most High is doing with his family, right? So now that Yah has done this, he has acquired us as his family. He's letting us know that the relationship you and I have is exclusive. So that's the reason why I don't want you to have any other gods. I don't want you to have any other power. I don't want you to call anyone else's name. And the exclusiveness, it has to do with you supposed to exclusively worship me. I'm looking for your loyalty. I'm looking for you to be the one who loves me and adores me just like I love you and I adore you. That's what a relationship is, in exchange. So in order for us to be in this relationship with the Most High, he has to be exclusive. There can't be anyone else. Just like a husband and wife. A husband can't be listening to his girlfriend. He has to listen to his wife. He's supposed to have a girlfriend. The relationship has to go where it's exclusivity, right? And with that relationship comes with responsibility, right? And duties. And so the worship and the loyalty to Yah is very exclusive. And this is the reason why he says in his word of his expectations, I'm punishing, right? I'm punishing, meaning I'm visiting the children for the sins. In Hebrew, the awon of the parents, to the third and fourth generation of those who were hating me, right? Pokwe, the awon, the avot, the all the banim, the all shalishim, the rabbaim, the lasonai, those who are hating me. And osei de kased de la alafim, de la ohavai de ulashomre de mitzvotai, those who are to the thousands of generations of those who are loving me. So it's about loving, it's about hating, right? The ones who are hating him, you have the word sins there, but really that word right there is not the word for sin. Sin is really kata, right? And kata just basically means to miss the mark. This one here is different. Awon is different. You can remember by calling it Avon, A-V-O-N, like, makeup if you want, but it's awon, okay? So awon is about, not a sin per se, but it's literally about how one is doing something, Okay. So let me show you the difference between sin and what they call it an awon. Because the Most High said, I'm visiting, meaning I'm punishing, meaning I'm doing oversight on the children of the parents of the third and fourth generations of those hating me. So we want to know who are the ones who are hating Yah. That's what you want to know, because you don't want to be the one who's hating him. Because if you are the one who's hating him, he says, I'm going to visit you. And I'm visiting this. Because where you receive this hatred from is you got it from your parents, because they taught you, right? Because that's where you get all your teaching from. They taught you how to hate me. So that's what they do. Because if you look at Ezekiel chapter number 20, he says, I told the children, don't listen to your parents, because your parents taught you how to hate me. Here he says, but displaying grace to the thousands of generations of those loving me and guarding my commandments. But I want to focus on the hating. So I want you to know what's this real hating of the Most High. This hating of the Most High is through the idea of avon, and avon has to do with a twistedness. Okay. It's like when you think about twisted, I want you to think about a rope. Okay. And what the rope does is twist it. Okay. It's going to be tied up in knots. But a rope is generally supposed to, it can be used for tying and binding things, but ultimately a rope's supposed to be straight, especially when you're measuring something, because that's what they used ropes for. They use sometimes cords for binding, but also use it for measurement. So what we're talking about is the Most High says that I'm going to visit the children of those who are twisted. I'm visiting the children of the parents who were twisted. And what I'm looking at is their behavior. I'm looking at those who are contrary. Okay? So now we got the idea of us being woven with the Most High and being braided and interwoven with him. And now what we have is this idea of being twisted. So it's done differently. It's not woven, it's twisted. And how do you know if something's twisted? How do you know a person's twisted? You know they're twisted because they're not straight. Their behavior is indicative of who they are and what they're, how they operate in that, right? They're contrary to what Most High said. They're not on the same frequency. They're actually going against what he said. By what? By what we eat, by what we say, how we live, how we dress, all those things. So if you don't want to, the ones who hate him are the ones who are saying, I don't care what you said. You said make it straight, I'm going to go crooked. I'm going to twist it this way. You said this is what you want, I'm going to go against that. I don't have to listen to what you say. You know why I don't have to listen to what you say? Because I live among people who don't listen to what you say. And guess what? This is the normal thing. So for us, being contrary and having behaviors that are twisted and they're perverted are the behaviors that we learn from our ancestors, but also to the people around us. This is why you coming to the Most High right now is so important. It's imperative, right? Because if you don't make these changes, because that's why you're sent, and so you can learn how to make these changes, to recognize that, guess what? My behaviors are twisted and they are contrary because they're not straight. They're not measured. So, but there's individuals who still want to live like everyone else. And guess what? You can. It's your choice. You can remain in this position. You could go contrary to Most High saying. You can operate on a whole nother frequency, but understand something. If you're not on the frequency that the Most High has chosen, then you're going to have some issues. There's a lot of warning for you. Okay. King Dawida said something that I wanted to share with all of us. He said, had I cherished, they have their evil. So they're defining sin as avon, and now they're defining evil, which this is not evil. Right? He's not talking about just evil, right? If I cherished evil, if I've cherished, like we just read about sin. No, avon is the word that's used there. What he's saying is, if I have cherished and I've regarded and I've accepted and I've allowed this perversity and this twistedness of this behavior in my thoughts, which are not woven with Yahweh's thoughts, if I have done that, my master would have not listened. Meaning that the Most High is not going to listen to the prayers of an individual whose thoughts are not woven with him, like the people who were thinking about him, thinking those who had fear unto him, which they said have respect. There's individuals that believe that they can behave in a twisted, perverted way. And you think, well, what's perversion? Perversion is going against the grain, going contrary to what the Most High said that was acceptable and what's appropriate. Those are my favorite words this week. acceptable and what's appropriate. Okay? You guys know what I'm talking about. There's certain ways that we things that we do. There's certain ways that we behave that are inappropriate and unacceptable. Okay? So, if I, Dawid, cherished awon, perversity and twistedness in my thoughts, my master would not have Shema, or would have not Kushav, meaning that he won't give any attention to my prayer. He hears me. But when I make a request, the Most High is not going to listen to this. Because what he's saying is, I want something from the Most High. And the only way that I can get that is if I don't have any regard for perversity in my behavior. Perverts are not just the people that, mess around and do some, sexual things. Perverts are people that go against the Most High. That's what we don't understand. Perversion is going outside of what's straight and what's righteous. And that's not according to the judgments of the Most High. So we all used to be perverts, but now we're not. Now we decided I'm not going to go contrary. You see how this changes the game? So you are not to use lightly the name of Yahweh, your power of powers, because Yahweh will not leave unpunished someone who uses his name lightly. Unpunished here, when it says, Lo tisa de efa de shema Yahweh Eloheka de la shawa, ki lo yanakwe Yahweh de etha shera yisa de et shemo de la shawa. What he's saying is, you and I are not going to be innocent. I'm not going to leave anyone innocent. I'm not going to make anyone innocent. That's what he's talking about, unpunished. That word right there is not unpunished. It's innocent. I'm not going to let you become innocent, anyone who uses my name lightly. So we need to find out what the expectation is. Okay. So the expectation is the Most High is talking about his character, about his name. If you count me and what I'm telling you to do, like I told you, I'm Yahweh, Anoki Yahweh Eleheka, I'm the one who brought you out. If I tell you that that is my name, and that's the first words that come out of the Creator's mouth when he's talking to us, he says, if you count that as nothing and emptiness and like it means nothing, it's waste and it's spoiled, you're going to have a problem because I'm not going to hold you guiltless. You're not going to be innocent. Okay. So it's not just like, hey, you just used my name in the wrong way. What he's saying is how you responded to my name. Because my name is on you. That's what he's telling us. His name is on us. So when he came and he spoke to the children of Israel, he literally, when he spoke, he put his name on us. Just like he says, when you have an altar, I will come and visit you wherever I put my name. So when Yahweh makes his appearances and he shows up or he does certain things, he leaves his signature behind and says, I was here. Like in Mizraim, he says, now they'll know that I'm Yahweh. Now they will know. Why? How are they going to know? Because I left my signature. I left when I was there. So places that he goes, he leaves memorials of himself. So when he came and spoke to the children of Israel, he put his name on them and their children for all generations. So the covenant, that's why we're bound to our covenant, because his name is on us. So what he's saying is, if my name is on you and you don't have my character, and you think that my character is worthless, and you think serving me is a waste of time, then you count me as being worthless, and you count me as being this here, right here. This is what you count me as. You count me as being light. You say my name and who I am is light. Okay, I'm spoiled goods. There's nothing you don't have to worry about. It's a waste of time to try to develop my character or to consider what I'm telling you to be worthless, meaning my Torah, and then also too that it's a waste of your time to even pursue what I'm telling you to pursue. If you do that, you're not going unpunished. You're not going to be innocent. You're going to be automatically guilty. Now, when he talks about how you and I are not supposed to consider his name worthless or light or, a waste. These are some ideas that I want you to take with you today. Okay. Number one, you and I are not to carry around the name, this great and awesome name of Yah. And when we speak, we have no actions to follow our words. We're speaking empty words. We're saying things, but we're not saying it like we mean it, and there's no truth in it because there's no actions to follow behind it. So if we say something that we're going to do, we need to do it. If we make a vow, which I told you don't do because we're not in the land, we don't have any way to execute that vow, don't do that. So whenever you and I talk, and even to our neighbor, he talks about some of the things that, hey, don't speak falsely to your neighbor. He's saying, listen, don't have words that don't have meaning. And when words have meaning, they have actions. That's the reason why the words of the covenant are so important, because they're followed up with actions, either blessing or curses. Okay. Secondly, when you and I are walking around with the Most High, he says, do not deal in falsehood and idolatry. Don't do this. So if you and I have the Most High's name on us, we're not supposed to give our adoration, adulation, I said admiration, love, nothing to anyone else except for the Most High. Okay. And we have to watch our conduct, which is our behavior and how we move and how we're operating in the areas that we are in our work, in our job, in our homes, everything. We have to really start monitoring what we're doing. We have to use a lot of caution because you were connected to the one who controls everything, right? And we have this magnificent relationship. So we have to be mindful about our conduct, okay? And of course, it's always about our speech because that's where we're talking about, right? So these are the things that you and I need to be careful about. Our speech should always have grace, and it always should be seasoned with mercy, and it should always be definitely laced in with truth, right? That's what we want. That's what he's talking about. He's not just talking about, hey, you just said my name. No, these are the things that go along with that. Okay. Now, this is a command to remember the day. What? The Shabbat, to set it apart. Kadosh. Now, this is connected to the idea that the seraphim were singing, right? Because that's what set apart means. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. And that's when remember the Most High said, I'm going to set myself apart in the eyes of all the nations. That's what those seraphim were talking about. Because Kadosh means to be set apart. And he said, all of his glory fills the earth. That's when that's going to happen. So they're prophetically letting us know, like, this is what it's going to be like when he comes. That's why our prophet said, woe is unto me. I'm dead. I'm doomed. It's over because I've seen, right? So he's in a vision and he's seeing this, but he still feels like he's doomed. Okay. So here in the expectation is for us to remember the Shabbat, which you and I are doing, and to set it apart. Don't just set it apart just as a day, set it apart in action, set it apart in words, set it apart in deed, set it apart in your conduct. Remember, we're carrying his name. His name is Kadosh. Okay. It says you have 6 days to do your labor. Okay, so Sheshet Yamim Yitavod and Mayasita, they'll call it a Melactica. On the Vayom Hidat Shabbat, to La Yahweh Elaheka, right? So you're to have 6 days to, serve, that's their labor, and to do all your work. Okay. But on the 7th day, on the Yom Shavi'i, that is the Shabbat to La Yahweh. So that's the day of your Elaheka. So he's your power, right? And so on this day, you are not to do any, right? So, lo yiye, don't do any ta'aseh leka, right? Malaka, you, the ata, the avintka, the avitika, your son, your daughter, your male servant, your female servant, your livestock, your behema, your uva gerika, the stranger who's staying inside of your gates to your property. Don't do it, okay? Expectation, because in 6 days, right? Because connecting, the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because 6 days, Yahweh, right? Shashet Yamim Asa Yahweh. He made the Hashamayim and the Wet the Haaretz. He made the heaven and the earth. He made the Hayam. He made the sea and everything in it, right? Kasher Bam, right? And on this day, on the Hashavi'i, he rested. He wayanak. He rested from it. He ceased from his work. This is why, in all Cain, Yahweh, he has blessed this day. He set this day apart. He's kadoshed it for himself because Yahweh's kadosh. Okay, so you and I are. The expectation is for us to get on the same frequency. And when you and I do this, we're behaving like him and we're doing what he's asked us to do. This is all about frequency. It's about power. Honor your father and mother so that you will live long in the land that Yahweh your Elohim, or your power of powers, is giving you. Right? That's what we're supposed to do, meaning hold heavy the words that are coming from your mother and your father, or your father and your mother. Because if you don't, right, then he's not going to let you, you're not going to live a long life. It's not going to be good for you. right? Because your mother and father are the ones supposed to go ahead and communicate to you about what the Most High said. Okay. They're supposed to turn you on to the frequency. Number one, do not murder. Okay. Do not murder. Don't do that. No little tirtzak. Do not commit adultery. No tinaf. These do nots are lows. That means you should never. It's not you can't do it right now. It means never. So in Hebrew is lo, lo tinaf, lo tignov, lo tirtzak, lo, never. It's an absolute never to do these things. Okay. Why? Because you're in a relationship with the Most High, right? Do not steal. You know, that's that tignov right there. Don't do that. Then he tells us that, hey, don't you ever answer your neighbor as a false witness. It says don't bear false witness against your neighbor, but in Hebrew it doesn't say that. It's not against your neighbor. It says do not answer your neighbor as a false witness. That means that when you and I speak, we have to speak with truth. And that is a never. That is a absolutely never. So the idea about loving your neighbor has always been given to us. It's about showing a mutual respect, not only for your neighbor, for yourself, but also because you know that you are connected to the Most High. And if you take these are frequencies. This is the reason why you need to read this, is because if you read it and you understand it, these are the words that you are going to wove or weave into your thought life. It's a security, so you can make yourself a security blanket. Okay. He tells you don't covet your neighbor's house, right? So what does covet mean, right? A lot of people say don't lust. That's never. What he's talking about is don't delight in your neighbor's house. Don't desire your neighbor's house. Don't try to do that, right? Here again, never shall you ever covet, meaning delight in your neighbor's wife, right? It's called takmod, but don't ever go beyond. Don't ever take delight in your neighbor's wife, meaning you're to never even compliment the woman. You're never supposed to compliment her, ever. You're never supposed to compliment her. Never. Because why? Or his male or his female slave. Never. You're not supposed to do that. That's not your place. His ox or his donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Right? So the Most High is setting the ground rules and saying, hey, these are the expectations. And when I'm with you and you're with me, this is a frequency that I need you on. Okay? Now, in conclusion, this is, I think, the last slide. He says this, and I need you to pay very careful attention to this. He told the earth to hear. Right? So the earth is listening. And it says, I'm going to bring disaster on this people. It is the consequence of their own way of thinking. Going back to what we talked about, how we're supposed to be interwoven with the Most High. If you and I don't have the right type of thinking, then you and I are going to receive disaster. Okay? He says, for they pay no attention, meaning they don't shema. They're not shemaing to my words. They're not obeying my words. Which goes back to what he made the proposal, right? And the agreement. And he says, if you listen, you guard. For as for my Torah, they reject it. Now, this was said to Jeremiah in chapter number 6, and he's telling them prophetically about what was going to happen to them and why they were going to be put out of their land, right? So when the Most High speaks, everyone, he's not speaking to completely repeat himself again, okay? So the Most High has already told us. He's already given us warning. He's already given us caution. So why is he telling the earth this? Why is he speaking to the earth? Because the earth is on the same frequency. The Most High has it on a frequency where it's supposed to respond to the children of Israel. It's supposed to give its vegetation. It's supposed to give its strength to the children of Israel. The earth is supposed to. The heavens are supposed to receive the rains from the heavens down to the earth because they were obedient. But here he's saying, "Listen, earth, okay, I'm going to bring disaster." Okay, so this is a prophetic prelude to what he's telling everybody what's going to happen. So he doesn't change. He hasn't changed his mind. If you and I don't change the way that we're thinking, that's what he's letting us know. And we don't listen and obey his words. Doesn't matter how many they are, because we agree to no matter what it is, we're going to guard them and we're going to do them. Right? So if we're not doing this, then he says you're going to get some consequences. And the consequences is disaster. So this is the reason why we need to read our Torah portion. Because he says they reject my Torah. They reject it. They reject my instructions. Which this is what ultimately you and I agree to. So if you and I's way of own thinking doesn't align with the Torah, then you know the disaster is coming. That's what he's giving us a warning about. I always told you that I was going to teach you something to say. All right. And I was like, yeah, what do you want me to teach them? You know, do you want me to give them another greeting? Do you want me to tell them how to say this or say that? And it came to me this morning where the Most High wants us to know that He listens to us, but we want to tell Him that I'm going to listen to you. And now I'm going to listen to you. I will guard your words. So if you're willing to do these things, I want you to take out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, and I need you to write down these words. And these are the words of the week that you're going to say every single day when you wake up. This is going to be the beginning of your day. Besides hallelujah, we know how to praise Him. We know how to say that. We know how to say peace, and we know how to say family. We know how to say brother, and we know how to father and sister and all this. But now we want to learn how to speak to the Most High from our hearts, meaning our minds, and we need to be 100 with Him since He is listening, right? And He knows our thoughts are far off. The first one is Yahweh, and I have it broken down. I have Eshma, okay? Eshma, top line, Eshma, okay? So what is Eshma? Okay, and we'll say a little faster. Eshma, 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 Eshma. Just in case you don't know where I'm at. Eshma, Eshma. Okay? I don't care about the Hebrew letters. I'm just putting it in English letters so you can write it down, because all I want you to know is how to say it. Because I'm going to tell you how to say it, and then I'll tell you what it means. And that's all we need to know. I can give you the letters of Yohe Wahe. Great. You know Hebrew letters. But do you know how to say it? Yes, I know how to say Yahweh. So you're going to say Yahweh? Like you talk to him. Yahweh. Eshma. Right? So this Eshma right here. Eshma. Eshma what? This is a letter L. So you're going to make that L sound. L, and then ka. Laka. L, ka. Laka. So Yahweh. Eshma laka. Oh, how beautiful does that sound? You're going to say Yahweh, comma, Eshma, Laka. What you just said is, Yahweh, I will listen to you. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. So the first here goes to I. That's what means. Okay. I don't want to give you a Hebrew letter. I know what it is. I don't want to confuse you. I just want to get you to say it. Okay. The next letter is the sh. Next sound is the sh sound. Shh. Right here. So we go over here. And that's the beginning of listen. Shh. Okay. So Shema is to listen. Shema. 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 I'm going to listen. I will listen. Eshmalaka. The la right here, the L is right here too. And ka right here is you. Like akika, that's laka. Akika. So I'm going to listen to you. That's what you're going to say. Yahweh Eshmalaka. Now, I have to give you a little warning because I do have caution signs here. Okay. The caution sign is this. You do not want to say this if you don't mean it. It's dangerous to say what I'm telling you. It's dangerous to say Yahweh Eshmalaka. It's dangerous to say that. You should only say this if you are willing to do it at any cost. And what does Yahweh want you to listen to? Oh, that's right. I want you to listen to the Torah. I want you to listen to my voice. Oh, you mean that you're going to give us your voice without us having to run and hide? Yeah. Yahweh will give us his voice through his Torah. Eshmalaka. I don't care what you got to do. If you want to sing it, you can. Eshma laka. It's real simple. So easy to remember. Okay. Second one that I want you to say is, since you know how to say Yahweh, Yahweh, what else you gonna tell Yahweh? I'm gonna tell you this again. Eshmar. 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 Not Eshma, but Eshmar. Okay, it comes from our word shamar, meaning to guard. Okay. That's what shamar means, to guard. So I'm going to, Yahweh, I'm Eshmar. I will guard what? Your Devar. What is Devar? Devar Eka. That means your words. Okay. The Ka, again, is your. And the Devare is words, plural. Okay. So Devareka. Okay. So Eshmar, Eshmar. Yahweh Eshmar Devareka. Eshmar Devareka, Yahweh. Yahweh Eshmaleka. Yahweh Eshmar Devareka. 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 Yes, Kana. Yeah.
It looks like chica. Oh, it's E. Okay, I'm not seeing it very well. Okay, it's EHKA. I'm talking about the last part.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. K A. Yeah. Uh-huh.
oh, okay,
Like Eka.
right.
Eka.
Oh,
Okay. And the other one
okay,
is Devar. Devar Eka.
okay,
Devar Eka. Devar Eka. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. Okay. So you know you're
okay,
saying, so write the number 4 on the side of it so you'll know how many syllables it needs to be, right? So divide it up into 4 syllables. Da, var, e, ka. Okay, that's 4. E, sh, ma. That really should be 2, not up here. Eshma. Okay, but the Devarika has to be 4 syllables. This Eshmar, that's 2 syllables. Eshmar or Eshma, 2 syllables. Laka, 2. Devarika, 4. Okay, so syllabification, you will know you're doing it right. So write a 2 over Eshma. So you'll know how many syllables it should sound out. Laka, 2. Eshma, Eshmar, 2. Devareka, 4. Okay, Devareka. So there you go. Okay. And you're going to tell Yahweh that I will guard. Okay. And then I will means future because your future is your past in Hebrew. So whatever you do now is what you're looking at for your future. It's just the reverse. So I will guard your words. I will listen to you. I will eshmalaka, Yahweh. So you have that conversation with the Most High. Today was about communication. So I want to teach you on how to communicate to your Creator. And the Most High will enjoy hearing from us to say eshmalaka. Okay. So let me share something with you personally. I haven't said these words to the Most High. He just gave them to me today because he wants us to understand that these are the things that I've asked you to do. I've asked you to guard what I say. I've asked you to listen and obey, and I've asked you to guard. These are the 2 primary obligations that you have in the covenant. Doesn't matter how many words. It could be 1,000 words. They call it the 10 Commandments erroneously. It's not 10 commandments. It's 10 statements of the covenant, which there was more, but they didn't want to hear it. They got scared. So if we focus on these 2 things, Eshmalaka and Eshmar Devarika, and you say who you're talking to, you're going to have a different mindset. I want you to say this every single day for the next 7 days. And I want you to say it not only in the morning, I want you to say it all during the day. Because what we're doing right now is we're going to realign ourselves, okay? Because we're out of alignment. We're going to realign ourselves with the Most High, all of us, including me. This is what we're going to do. We're going to realign ourselves with the Most High, okay, as His people. And also, too, what we're going to do is we're going to keep our commitments. And what we're going to do is we're going to create new thought patterns. So this is the beginning of you weaving new thoughts because you're including Him on what you're saying because you don't say things that you don't mean. Otherwise, you're a liar. So that's why we're going to create some new thought patterns. So at the end of our patterns, what we're creating is a tapestry, right? That's what you and I are interested in doing. We want to do the tapestry. And in our tapestry, in our pattern, we're going to have these words that are going to design our thoughts. You understand? Because your thought patterns are your tapestry. And how do you want it to look? I want it to look straight. I want it to be tight. I want to use the same materials. I don't want to put anything else. So the words that I just taught you are in the Torah. Okay? It's part of our covenant. Okay? Shema is in it and Shamar is in it. Devarika is his words. Lekah to you. Yes, and Yahweh is there. 6,828 times. Okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm your brother. So don't feel, hey, well, hey, I don't know the language. Don't forget about all that. Forget about all that. If you're willing to learn this would make a difference in your life. We don't have to go through hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks and weeks of Hebrew and this and that. We don't have to do all that. I don't mind to do that, but it just takes too long. What I want to do is get right to it. I want you to start speaking Hebrew right now. Period. Yahweh, Eshma Leka. Yahweh, talk to him. Eshmar, Devarika. Tell him what you're going to do. Yeah. Add that to your program and watch what happens. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. Oh, what am I doing? Forgive me. I just got a little carried away. I pushed the wrong button. Here, let's see this. I still got one more slide to show you. It's the most important. Come on. All right, here, let's start again. Those who are listening, this is what we do. Feel free to ask me to come and join the class. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. There it is. That's it right there. That's the Torah. That's the instructions for Shemot, Exodus, chapter number 21, verse number 1, all the way to chapter number 24, verse number 18. Haftarah, Yeremiyahu, book of Jeremiah. You're going to read chapters 33, verses 25 and 26, only 2 verses. And then you're going to read chapter number 34, verse number 8, all the way to verse number 22. You're going to meditate. Oh, Shabbat Shalom. You're going to meditate on Tehillim, the Psalms. That's what meditation is. You're going to gnaw on that, and you're going to go from chapter 88 all the way through chapter number 118. Okay. You're going to read that means including chapter number 118, not just through it. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So we're going to make a commitment to the Most High that we're going to Eshma Leka. Yahweh, we're going to Eshma Leka. Yahweh, we're going to Eshma Leka. And I tell you to do that for yourself because you can't make anyone else who want to do it. They got to do it on their own. Okay. You can share those words with someone else, but maybe it'll make sense for them. Maybe it won't. It really depends. Make it for yourself. Don't worry about anybody else.